The sky over Fort Bragg was pale and indifferent, like it had seen too many people arrive with dreams and leave with silence. A military bus rolled to a stop. The doors hissed open, and Emily Carter stepped down. That moment didn't feel dramatic. No music, no inspiration, just dust under her boots and a cold wind that didn't care who she was. She stood still for a second longer than everyone else. Not because she was confident, but because she was trying to understand if she had really made it here, or if she had already made her first mistake. Around her, recruits moved quickly, grabbing bags, forming lines, adjusting uniforms like they belonged to this world. Emily didn't. Not yet. Her hands tightened around the strap of her duffel bag. It was heavier than it should have been. Or maybe she was just weaker than she thought. Move! The shout cracked through the air like a gunshot. Everyone reacted instantly. Except Emily. She flinched half a second too late. That half second would matter more than she knew. A shadow approached. Boots hit the ground with controlled anger. Drill Sergeant Harris. He didn't need introduction. His presence felt like pressure itself. "You deaf private," he barked. Emily straightened quickly. "No, sir." Harris stopped in front of her. His eyes scanned her face like he was measuring failure. "You always react that slow." Emily swallowed. "No, sir." He leaned closer. "Then prove it." And just like that, her new life began. She did belong here, not according to them. The recruits were divided into rows. Perfect lines. Perfect posture. Perfect silence. Emily stood at the far edge. Last row. Not by accident. By judgment. Harris walked slowly in front of them, speaking like every word was a test. "This place doesn't care who you are outside these gates." He stopped. "It only cares what you can survive inside them." His eyes shifted and landed on her. "You." Emily stiffened. "Yes, sir." He walked closer. "Too close. You look like you break easily." A few recruits smirked. Emily felt heat rise in her face, but she didn't look down. Harris continued. "Do you think you belong here?" A long pause. Everyone was watching now. Waiting. Emily's throat tightened. Her mind screamed at her to say the right thing. But she only knew one truth. "Yes, sir." Harris tilted his head. Louder. "Yes, sir." A beat. Then, "Still sounds like doubt," he said coldly. And turned away. Just like that. The first lesson was not training, it was humiliation. The first drill wasn't about strength. It was about breaking comfort. "Run," someone shouted. And they ran. At first, Emily tried to keep pace. But the ground was uneven. Her breathing was off. Her legs felt like they didn't belong to her. Within minutes, she was behind. Then further behind. Then last. Always last. "Carter is falling again," someone shouted. Laughter followed. She heard it. Every word. Every breath. Every judgment. And she hated how loud it felt inside her head. The run didn't stop. Nothing stopped. Pain was not an excuse here. Only results mattered. Emily's lungs burned like fire. Her vision blurred at the edges. Her legs were shaking violently now. But she kept moving. Because stopping wasn't an option. Not officially. But mentally, she was starting to wonder. How long until I collapse? The breaking point came sooner than expected. Obstacle course. The real one. Not practice. Not warm-up. This was designed to expose weakness. Mud pits. Rope climbs. Wall jumps. All timed. All watched. All judged. G.O. The whistle cut the air. And chaos began. Recruits sprinted forward. Emily followed. Too slowly. Always too slowly. The first obstacle hit her immediately. A low crawl under barbed wire. Mud soaked her uniform instantly. She crawled. Slow. Too slow. Her shoulders scraped the ground. Pain flared. Someone passed her on the side. Then another. And another. She was already behind. By the time she reached the rope wall, her arms were trembling. She looked up. Too high. Her mind hesitated. That hesitation cost her everything. She jumped. Missed the grip. Fell. Hard. The ground hit her like rejection itself. For a moment, she didn't move. Not because she couldn't, but because something inside her whispered. Maybe they were right. Get up. The voice was distant. Drill Sergeant Harris. He was watching. Always watching. Emily pushed herself up slowly. Her hands were shaking. Her knees were weak. She tried again. Climb. Slip. Fall again. This time harder. A sharp pain shot through her arm. Her breath broke. From somewhere behind her. She's done. Another voice. She won't finish. The words didn't feel like insults anymore. They felt like predictions. Riley appears. A shadow stood beside her. Don't listen to them. Emily turned slightly. A girl. Calm eyes. Controlled breathing. No panic. No fear showing. That was Riley. Emily gasped, I can't do this. Riley looked at the rope wall. Then back at her. You already are doing it. Emily shook her head, I keep failing. Riley's voice lowered. Then fail moving forward. Emily didn't understand. Not yet. The moment that changed everything. Carter. The entire field went silent. Drill Sergeant Harris approached. Slow. Deliberate. Like judgment walking on boots. He stopped in front of her. You're slow, he said. Weak. Unfocused. Emily stood trembling. Yes, sir. He stared at her longer than usual. Then something unexpected happened. You didn't quit. Emily blinked. That wasn't what she expected. Harris continued. Most people like you would have quit after the first fall. Silence. Heavy silence. He leaned slightly forward. Tell me something. Emily's voice barely worked. Yes, sir. Why are you still here? That question hit harder than any physical drill. Because it wasn't about strength. It was about reason. Emily's throat tightened. Her voice cracked slightly. Because I don't have anywhere else to go. For the first time, Harris didn't respond immediately. He just looked at her. Not as a recruit. Not as a failure. Just as a person standing at the edge of something. Finally, he stepped back. Then you better learn fast. He turned away. Or this place will bury you. Night falls, but peace doesn't come. The barracks were silent. Too silent. The kind of silence that presses on your thoughts. Emily sat on her bunk. Her body hurt everywhere. Bruises forming. Muscles shaking. Hands still trembling slightly. She stared at them. Like they belonged to someone else. Around her, others settled in. Cleaning gear. Writing letters. Staring into nothing. Emily did none of that. She just sat. And thought. Riley sat across from her. You're still here, she said. Emily gave a weak breath. Barely. Riley nodded. Barely is still part of the process. Emily looked up slightly. That doesn't feel like winning. Riley gave a small, calm smile. Winning doesn't start here. A pause. Surviving does. Emily leaned back slowly. Her eyes moved to the ceiling. She expected relief. But it didn't come. Instead, she felt something new. Not hope. Not confidence. Something quieter. More dangerous. Determination, forming in fragments. Final scene of part 1. Lights began shutting off. One by one. Until the room grew darker. Voices faded. Breathing slowed. The world quieted. Emily lay on her bunk. Eyes open. Body broken. Mind awake. For the first time since arriving. She didn't think, I want to quit. She thought, if I stay, who will I become? Outside, wind moved across Fort Bragg. Unbothered. Unchanged. But inside that barracks, something had already started changing. A weak girl had arrived, and the army had begun its work. Morning arrived at Fort Bragg like a punishment that never ended. No gentle sunlight. No calm start. Just a loud whistle slicing through sleep like a blade. Youpee, youpee, youpee. Emily Carter's eyes snapped open. Her body didn't want to move. Every muscle still carried yesterday's pain like it had settled in permanently. But hesitation didn't exist here. Only action. Or consequences. She swung her legs off the bunk too fast and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through her thighs. Her arms still felt heavy from the rope wall failure the day before. For a moment, just a moment, she closed her eyes. And that tiny pause almost cost her everything. Carter, the voice exploded again. She jolted upright. I'm up, sir. But she was already behind. Outside, the recruits were forming up. Perfect rose again. Perfect timing again. Emily ran to her place, adjusting her uniform as she went. Her heart was already racing, and the day hadn't even started. Drill Sergeant Harris stood in front of them like a storm that had learned to walk. His eyes scanned the line. Slow. Sharp. Unforgiving. Today, he said, you stop thinking like civilians. Silence. Today you either adapt or you disappear from this program. A pause. Then he pointed toward the training field. Move. The day of no mercy begins. The first drill wasn't announced properly. It was revealed through action. Weighted runs. Full gear. No breaks. No excuses. Just distance and discipline. G.O. And they ran. At first, Emily tried to match pace. She focused on breathing. Left foot. Right foot. Don't fall behind. Don't fall behind. But her body didn't cooperate. It already remembered yesterday's failure. And it was still tired. Within minutes, her breathing turned uneven. Her bag bounced harder against her back. Her boots felt heavier with every step. She was slipping again. Always slipping. Always last. Carter is dropping again, someone shouted. Laughter followed. Not loud. Not kind. Just enough to hurt. Emily clenched her jaw. And kept running. Riley's warning. At one point, Riley caught up beside her. No struggle in her breathing. No panic in her eyes. Just control. You're overthinking your steps, she said calmly. Emily gasped, I can't keep pace. Riley looked forward. Stop trying to match them. What do you mean? Match yourself from yesterday. That hit differently, but Emily didn't have time to process it, because Harris's voice exploded again. FASTER. The obstacle that broke her again. The obstacle course returned. But today it was worse. Higher walls. Longer distances. Heavier expectations. Move. Recruits sprinted forward. Emily followed. Too late again. Always too late. The first wall came fast. She tried to climb. Her foot slipped instantly. She hit the ground. Hard. Mud splashed across her face. A voice from behind. She can't even clear the first obstacle. Another laugh. Emily stood up slowly. Wiped her face. Tried again. Jump. Grip. Slip. Fall. Again. Harder. For a moment she stayed down, breathing heavily, eyes fixed on the ground. Something inside her whispered, "Maybe this is your limit." "Carter." Harris's voice cut through the field. She forced herself up. "Yes, sir." He walked closer, stopped in front of her. "You fall a lot," he said. Emily swallowed. "Yes, sir." "That's not the problem." She blinked. He leaned slightly forward. "The problem is you don't learn from it fast enough." That sentence stayed with her, even after he walked away, even after the drill continued, even after the pain grew worse. The moment everything shifted. Later that afternoon, the recruits were forced into a timed endurance test. No water breaks. No stopping. Just movement under exhaustion. Emily's body was already failing. Her legs trembled with every step. Her vision blurred at the edges. But she kept moving, because stopping meant humiliation. And humiliation meant something worse than pain here. Halfway through, she collapsed. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Just down. Dust rising around her. Silence followed instantly. A recruit whispered, "She's done." Another, "She won't get up this time." Emily heard them, but couldn't respond. Her body felt disconnected, like she was watching herself from far away. Then Riley appeared again, kneeling beside her. "You're hitting the wall," Riley said. Emily gasped, "I can't move." Riley didn't panic, didn't react emotionally, just obsessed. "You can." Emily shook her head slightly. "No, I can't." Riley leaned closer. "Then move 1 inch." Emily didn't understand. Riley repeated, "1 inch, that's it." Something about that instruction was too small to refuse, too simple to argue. So Emily tried. Her arm moved. Barely. 1 inch. Pain shot through her body instantly. But she moved. Riley nodded. Again. Emily shook. Then moved again. Another inch. And another. From a distance, Harris watched. Silent. Observing. No reaction. But his eyes narrowed slightly. The turning point. Emily didn't notice when she started standing again. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow. Painful. Barely visible. But real. "Keep moving," Riley said. Emily whispered, "I feel like I'm going to collapse." Riley replied, "Then collapse forward." That sentence stayed. Emily took a step. Then another. Then another. Her pace was still slow. But she was moving. Not stopped. Not defeated. Moving. For the first time, she wasn't last in spirit. Only in speed. And that felt different, dangerously different. Harris's observation. Later, as the drill ended, recruits collapsed on the ground. Exhausted, silent, broken. Emily lay on her side, breathing heavily, her body shaking. But she didn't fully stop. Harris walked through them, stopping occasionally, watching, evaluating. When he reached Emily, he paused. Longer than before. "You're still moving," he said quietly. Emily blinked. "Yes, sir." A pause. Then he said something unusual. "Good," and walked away. Emily stared after him. That single word hit harder than all the insults before it. Because it meant something changed. Something small, but real. Night after the breaking point. The barracks were quieter than usual. Not peaceful, just exhausted. Emily sat on her bunk again. But this time, she wasn't shaking as much. Her body still hurt, but something inside her felt different. Riley sat across from her again. "You didn't quit today," she said. Emily exhaled slowly. "I almost did." Riley nodded. "That's improvement." Emily gave a weak laugh. "That's a low standard." Riley looked at her. "In here, low standards keep you alive." Emily leaned back, staring at the ceiling again. But tonight, her thoughts weren't about failure. They were about survival. Progress. Movement. Even if small. And somewhere deep inside her, something unfamiliar was forming. Not confidence. Not strength yet. But resistance. Outside, the wind moved across Fort Bragg again. But this time, Emily didn't feel like it was pushing her away. She felt like it was pushing her forward. The siren didn't wake Emily Carter this time. Her eyes were already open. Somewhere deep inside her, her body had learned something the mind was still catching up to. In this place, peace was temporary, and silence was usually a warning. Outside the barracks, chaos had already begun. Boots hitting pavement. Shouts cutting through cold air. Metal doors slamming. The base wasn't waking up, it was activating. Emily swung her legs off the bunk, without hesitation this time. That alone would have shocked her from day one. But not today. Today felt different. Riley was already tying her boots. "You feel it too?" Riley asked without looking up. Emily paused. "Feel what?" Riley tightened the knot. "That something big is coming." Emily didn't answer immediately. Because she did feel it. A pressure in the air. Like the entire base was holding its breath. Combat simulation today. The announcement came over loudspeakers. No explanation. No comfort. Just reality. Drill Sergeant Harris stood in front of the recruits like a man, preparing them for war without calling it war. "This is not training," he said. "This is decision-making under pressure." A pause. "Some of you will break today." His eyes moved across the group. "And some of you will wake up." Emily's stomach tightened. Combat simulation. They had heard about it. Never experienced it. It was designed to replicate battlefield chaos, without bullets but with everything else. Fear. Confusion. Exhaustion. Noise. Pressure. And failure meant public elimination from the program. The simulation begins. They were divided into squads. Emily found herself in Squad C. Last pick again. She didn't react this time. Not like before. Not emotionally. Just noted it. And moved on. That alone was progress. Move out. The gates opened. And the world changed. The training zone looked nothing like a base. It looked like a broken battlefield. Burnt vehicles, collapsed structures, smoke machines releasing thick gray fog, shouts playing through hidden speakers, gunfire sounds echoing randomly, everything designed to confuse the mind. Emily stepped in and immediately felt it. Her breathing changed. Not panic, not fear, something sharper. Awareness. Riley moved beside her. "Stick close," she said. Emily nodded. "I am." First contact. A sudden explosion sound. Everyone dropped instinctively. Emily hit the ground instantly this time. No hesitation. No delay. That alone was new. "Contact front," someone shouted. Simulated enemy targets appeared through smoke. Pop-up dummies. But the brain didn't fully believe they were fake. Not in the moment. Not here. Squad C moved forward. Vast, controlled chaos. Emily followed Riley through debris, her boots slipping on gravel, her heart pounding harder than any run before. A loud burst of sound hit from the left. Emily froze for half a second. Then Riley grabbed her arm. "Move." They ran. Fear versus training. Emily realized something strange. She was scared, but she was still moving. Before, fear would stop her. Now it only slowed her. They reached a barricade. "Cover," someone shouted. Emily dropped behind it instantly. Breathing heavy, hands shaking slightly but controlled. Riley peeked over. "2 targets left," she said. Emily looked. Her vision blurred slightly from sweat and smoke. But she saw them. Targets moving through fog. Her mind screamed, "You're not ready." But something else answered. "You've been here before. Not in combat. In failure. In exhaustion. In breaking moments." And somehow that felt similar. "The first decision." "Carter," Riley said sharply. Emily turned. "Left flank go." Emily froze. A second decision. Vast. No time to overthink. Before fear could stop her, she moved. She ran. Through smoke. Through noise. Through uncertainty. Her boots hit uneven ground. Her heart pounded in her ears. She reached the flank position. Dropped. Came up. And aimed. Her hands were shaking. But not uncontrollably anymore. Not like before. She focused. Breath in. Breath out. "Now," Riley shouted from behind. Emily acted. Pulled trigger on training weapon. Target down. A beep sounded. Confirmation. Hit registered. For a second, everything inside her paused. She had done it. Not perfectly. Not cleanly. But correctly. The shift begins. They advanced. Squad C moved deeper into the simulation zone. Pressure increased. Noise increased. Confusion increased. But Emily didn't collapse into it. She adapted. Slowly, she started noticing patterns. Movement routes. Cover positions. Timing between explosions. Her mind was no longer just reacting. It was processing. Riley noticed. "You're seeing it now," she said. Emily nodded slightly. "I think so." Riley smirked faintly. "Took you long enough." But there was no insult in it. Only recognition. The breakdown moment. Halfway through the simulation, everything changed. A sudden loud blast effect. Smoke everywhere. Visibility near zero. Squads separated. Communication broken. "Regroup," someone shouted, but voices were swallowed by noise. Emily lost sight of Riley. For the first time today, panic tried to return. Her breathing spiked. Her mind flashed back to day one. Failure. Falling behind. Being alone. Don't lose control. But she already was slipping. Then, Harris's voice came through a speaker. Cold. Clear. Adapt or fail. That was it. No help. No guidance. Only reality. Emily stood still for half a second, then made a decision. Not emotional. Not fearful. Practical. Move forward. Not backward. The independent action. She moved through smoke alone. Carefully. Listening. Observing. Relying on instinct now more than instruction. She reached a broken structure. Took cover. Paused. Listened. Footsteps. Not hers. She turned instantly. Two simulated targets approaching. Her heart jumped, but her body didn't freeze. That was new. She moved. Quick. Precise. Not perfect but functional. One target down. Second repositioning. She adjusted. And hit again. Silence. Then confirmation beep. Emily stood there breathing heavily. Alone. But not lost. Harris observed something new. From a control point above the simulation field, Drill Sergeant Harris watched. His face remained unreadable, but his eyes tracked her movement carefully. She wasn't the same recruit anymore. Not fully. Not yet trained. But changing. Another instructor spoke beside him. She's still behind average. Harris didn't look away from the screen. Not anymore, he said quietly. A pause. She's learning pressure. Reunion. Eventually, Emily found Riley again. Riley was already regrouping others. You good? Riley asked. Emily nodded, still breathing hard. I think I am now. Riley gave a quick nod. Good, because it's not over. As if on cue. Final phase began. Final push. All squads combined. One final objective. Reach extraction point. Under full simulation pressure. Emily ran again. But this time differently. Not blindly. Not slowly. But controlled. She covered teammates. Called movements. Adjusted positioning. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was participating. Riley looked at her mid-run. You're not the same anymore, she said. Emily replied without thinking. Neither are you. Extraction point. They reached the final zone. Smoke cleared slowly. Sound faded. Simulation ended. A loud beep confirmed completion. Silence followed. Then, simulation complete. Emily dropped to her knees. Not from failure. From exhaustion. But this time, with something else inside her. Relief. And realization. Harris's final observation. Later, recruits stood in formation again. Drill Sergeant Harris walked in front of them. His gaze stopped briefly on Emily. Longer than before. You survived your first real simulation, he said. Pause. But survival is not the goal. Another pause. Improvement is. His eyes narrowed slightly. Some of you improved. His gaze landed on Emily for half a second. Then moved on. Night reflection. That night, Emily didn't sit alone. Riley was beside her. Both silent for a moment. Then Riley spoke. You didn't freeze today. Emily nodded slowly. I almost did. Riley smirked faintly. But you didn't. Emily leaned back, staring at the ceiling again. But this time, she wasn't questioning her place. She was questioning her limits. And for the first time since arriving at Fort Bragg, the answer wasn't obvious anymore. The night before the mission, Fort Bragg felt unusually quiet. Not peaceful. Quiet in a dangerous way. Like the base itself knew something irreversible was about to happen. Emily Carter sat on the edge of her bunk, fully dressed in tactical gear. No one was sleeping. No one was talking much. Even the usual noise of recruits joking or complaining was gone. Only silence and tension. Riley stood by the window, checking her equipment one last time. You feel that? Riley asked without turning. Emily adjusted her gloves. Yeah, she said softly. It feels like final training. Riley turned slightly. It's not training this time. That sentence hit differently than anything before it. Emily looked up. What do you mean? Riley hesitated, then said it clearly. This is a real mission simulation, but mistakes still have consequences. Emily didn't speak immediately, because she understood. This was the closest thing to real-world pressure they had ever faced. Drill Sergeant Harris enters. The door slammed open. Instant silence. Drill Sergeant Harris stepped inside. His presence instantly compressed the room. No shouting today. No unnecessary aggression. Just authority. Gear check in 10 minutes, he said. Pause. After that movement, he looked at them slowly. This is the closest you will get to real combat without leaving U.S. soil. A long silence followed. Then he added, and some of you will discover who you really are out there. His eyes stopped briefly on Emily, then moved on. He left. The door shut, and the room exhaled again, but not fully, because nothing felt safe anymore. The mission begins. Helicopter blades cut through the early morning sky. Wind slammed against their gear as they boarded. Emily climbed in last. Her heart was steady. Not calm. Steady. That was new. Riley sat across from her. No words. Just eye contact. A silent understanding. The helicopter lifted. The base disappeared below. And with it, everything familiar. Drop zone. Geo. The door opened. Cold air hit instantly. One by one, recruits dropped into darkness. Emily jumped. Impact. Ground. Dust. Immediate movement. No hesitation. Squad C moved to Waypoint Alpha, someone shouted. Emily moved instantly. No freezing. No delay. Just action. Real pressure begins. This was different from simulation. Even if it was still controlled, the mind didn't fully accept it. Every sound felt real. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every second felt heavier. Emily and Riley moved through broken terrain. Urban-style training zone. Collapsed structures. Smoke pockets. Low visibility areas. Stay close, Riley said. I am, Emily replied. But she wasn't just following anymore. She was watching, thinking, planning. First contact scenario. A loud explosion sound echoed nearby. Emily dropped instantly. Riley followed. Contact front, someone shouted. Targets appeared through smoke. Moving fast. Emily didn't freeze. She assessed. Left cover. Right movement path. Distance. Timing. Flank left, Riley called. Emily moved. Her boots hit debris. Her breathing stayed controlled. Her mind stayed sharp. Target appeared. Emily aimed. Fired. Hit confirmed. No hesitation. No panic. Just execution. Riley glanced at her mid-move. "You're faster now," she said. Emily replied without looking away. "No, I'm just not stopping anymore." The turning point of the mission. Halfway through the operation, everything changed. A sudden mission complication was triggered. Communication interference. Squads partially separated. Visibility reduced. Pressure increased. Emily found herself slightly separated from Riley. Not fully alone, but not fully connected. For a moment, old fear tried to return. The fear of being behind. The fear of failing again. The fear of not being enough. But something else responded faster now. Experience. She took cover. Paused. Listened. Analyzed. Then moved. Not randomly. Purposefully. Leadership emerges. Emily noticed something. One recruit nearby froze under pressure. Breathing too fast. Unable to decide. Emily moved beside him. "Stay low," she said firmly. The recruit looked at her. She repeated, "Follow me." No hesitation in her voice. And he did. They moved together. Then another joined. Then another. Without realizing it, Emily was no longer just participating. She was leading. Harris watches the field. From control observation, Drill Sergeant Harris watched the data feeds. Movement tracking. Decision timing. Team coordination shifts. One instructor spoke. "She's guiding others now." Another replied. "She was last in physical performance weeks ago." Harris didn't respond immediately. He only watched Emily's movement pattern. Then said quietly, "She stopped reacting." Pause. She started deciding. Final objective zone. The final phase began. Extraction objective. High-pressure final push. Smoke thickened. Targets increased. Time pressure activated. Everything intensified. Emily moved forward with her group. But now something was different. She wasn't just trying to survive. She was trying to complete the mission. "Cover left," she shouted. Riley responded instantly. They coordinated. Efficient. Controlled. This wasn't chaos anymore. This was structure under pressure. Critical moment. Near the extraction point, a final simulated threat appeared. Two opposing targets. Blocking path. High-pressure scenario. Riley aimed. But Emily stopped her. "Wait," she said. Riley glanced at her. "Why?" Emily analyzed quickly. "There's a blind angle." A pause. Then, "I'll take right, you take left after." Riley nodded instantly. No doubt. They moved. Vast. Clean. Coordinated. Targets eliminated. Path cleared. Extraction point reached. Mission complete. The voice echoed across the zone. Silence followed. Then relief. Then exhaustion. Emily dropped to her knees again. But not from collapse. From release. Riley stood beside her. "You did it," she said. Emily breathed heavily. "We did it." Riley corrected softly. "No." Pause. "You led it." The final evaluation. Back at base. Formation again. Always formation. Drill Sergeant Harris stood in front of them, silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. Today was not about strength. Pause. It was about decision-making under pressure. His eyes scanned the group. Some of you hesitated. Long pause. Some of you adapted. His gaze stopped on Emily. For the first time, he said slowly, I saw recruits stop being carried by instruction. He paused again, and start carrying responsibility. He didn't smile. He never did. But something in his tone changed slightly. Final words to Emily. After dismissal, Harris stopped her. Emily stood still. Yes, sir. He studied her for a moment, then said, You were the weakest on day one. Emily didn't react. He continued, Now you're no longer the weakest. A pause. Remember this moment. Then he walked away. Final night. Emily stood outside that night alone. Not lost. Not broken. Just thinking. Riley joined her. You're different now, Riley said. Emily nodded. I know. A pause. Not strong yet, she added. Riley smirked. No one becomes strongest in a straight line. Emily looked at the horizon. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was surviving. She felt like she was becoming. And somewhere deep inside her, the girl who arrived weak no longer existed the same way. Final line. A weak girl entered the army. But the army didn't just train her. It rebuilt her. And in the end, it created the strongest soldier she never believed she could become.